Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where something feels deeply wrong, but you keep trying to make it work anyway? Maybe the person constantly criticizes you. Maybe they twist conversation so you end up apologizing for things that weren't even your fault. Maybe you feel like you're walking on eggshells and yet you remain in relationship with them. You keep hoping things will change, so you keep trying harder. And you keep wondering if leaving would make you a bad person. Well, if you've ever been trapped, if you've ever felt trapped in a relationship like that, today's conversation will help you to start looking at the situation in a whole new way. Welcome to the Confident Christian Woman podcast, where we tackle questions about things that have been keeping you stuck in unfulfillment, dissatisfaction, or straight up misery. This is where you'll find the help you need to move forward from confusion, fear, or self-doubt into joy, fulfillment, and peace. This is where we become confident Christian women who not only believe, we obey. Now, let's dive in. If you have been listening for the past few weeks, then you know that we're in a series of episodes where we're addressing some of the shortest messages that I have received from people in our community. Now, someone simply messaged me and said, toxic relationship. When I asked about her biggest struggle right now, she didn't give me any more details than that. For example, there was no indication of whether this was a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a relationship with a parent or a colleague. But we can still observe something from these two simple words, which is that this person already knows that something is not quite right in this relationship. So I'm going to take addressing this message, toxic relationship, in a direction that I believe and hope will help most of you here. And we're gonna kick things off today with a little part of my story. So drop with me into my story where I was at a point where I had to talk myself out of flinching every time this man reached for me, right? This man was my ex at the time. He was my partner. And I wasn't flinching because he ever physically abused me, because he didn't. But I was flinching because something inside me had learned that his presence just wasn't emotionally safe for me. I got into the habit of going to bed early on purpose, so that by the time he came to bed, I could already be pretending to be fast asleep. And I mean knockout level sleep. Like if there was an earthquake, I wouldn't even move kind of sleep. That was the level of sleep I was faking, right? I'd sleep on the very edge of the mattress, trying to make it look natural, like I hadn't rolled there on purpose. And in the mornings, I'd wake up when it was still dark outside, and I would do a ninja slide out of bed, so that I wouldn't be there if he woke up wanting physical closeness, right? And even with all of this, during the daytime, I used to act like everything was fine. Like all of this was normal. Like nothing was wrong. Now, if you have been nodding along as I've been sharing this, then you know where I was at during that time in my life. So today, let's tackle the question, what do I do when I feel trapped in a toxic relationship? Before we go there though, I think it's important that we define what a toxic relationship even is, because I don't want us to be calling something toxic that isn't. Like, not every difficult relationship is toxic, okay? Some people are simply annoying, and some people are simply hard to communicate with, and some relationships take more work than others. That doesn't make them toxic. Toxic is different. A toxic relationship is one where you are constantly harmed, emotionally or mentally or physically, where you're constantly harmed by the dynamic of the relationship, right? Interactions in this relationship leave you feeling drained, confused, small, anxious, or feeling like something in you just got chipped away and eroded again or even more. And it doesn't have to be physical, to be real. It doesn't have to be physical harm, okay? Emotional harm counts. Psychological manipulation counts. Chronic, never-ending criticism counts. And being made to feel like you're never enough counts. I went through all of that, and didn't even realize that I was in a toxic relationship because I wasn't telling myself the truth. In my case, I didn't recognize any of what was happening until after the relationship was over, because my boyfriend at the time was a master at manipulating things and turning everything around so that it was always my fault, right? No matter what happened, I was a problem. No matter what I did, I wasn't good enough. And so over time, I didn't just feel criticized. I actually started to believe him, because he was so good at gaslighting me that I genuinely believed that he knew me better than I knew myself. So I started to believe that I wasn't good enough, that I needed to try harder, that if I could just get it together already, things in our relationship would finally feel peaceful. But I never managed to be good enough, and I never managed to get it together in a way that satisfied him. And so very slowly, so slowly that I didn't even realize that it was happening, I handed over to him my self-worth, my self-respect, my confidence, and my entire identity, until I was nothing but a shell of a woman. Hey, if you're listening and thinking, I don't want to miss this kind of encouragement and inspiration every week, then now's the time to hit follow. Because every Monday, I drop a new episode to help you take the next faithful, obedient step in your journey. Okay, let's get back into it. Okay, now that we have laid some groundwork and we understand a little bit more about what a toxic relationship can look like, let's go deeper with this question. Perk up and hear me now. If you tuned out, tune in again. Why are you still in this relationship that you already know is toxic? I am not asking you that as a rhetorical question or as some kind of judgment. It's not. It's a legitimate question that you need to sit with and ponder, like really ponder, so that you can understand yourself better, because there's always a reason. There's a reason. For me, part of why I stayed in that toxic relationship for almost 10 years was because by the time I realized I was miserable in that relationship, I had so thoroughly lost myself in it that I had no clue who I could ever be without it. Even contemplating leaving the relationship made me feel like I was cast adrift, like I had no anchor. On top of that, the relationship really looked great from the outside. And back then, I really cared about what people thought of me. So I didn't want to look like a fool to other people by leaving this good-looking relationship. Plus, I had subscribed to the sunk cost fallacy. I had already invested years of my life, tons of my money, and my entire identity into that relationship. So abandoning the relationship didn't seem like a viable option. So when I ask you why you're still in this relationship, you want to be looking for some real reasons like that. Let's keep peeling things back with more questions. I love a good question. They can be hurt, they can be painful, they can cause some ow moments, but they're so good. They're where healing and freedom can start. So let me ask you this. What are you hoping will change? Now be honest. Are you keeping this relationship going because you believe something along the lines of, if I just communicate better, if I just try harder, if I just become what they need, then things will finally be good between us? What is it that you are hoping will change? Okay, answer that question. What have you already invested? That's another question for you to answer. Maybe it's your energy, your emotions, or like me, maybe years of your life. And a thought comes up that sounds like, I can't walk away now. That would mean that all of this was for nothing. But ask yourself this. Am I staying because it's right or because I don't want my investment to feel wasted? Another question for you to ask and wrestle with is, what do you believe about yourself? This is a big one because toxic dynamics in a relationship don't just happen externally. They latch on to something internal. So ask yourself, what do I believe that this relationship says about me? Do you believe that this is the best you can do, for example? Do you believe that you're hard to love? Do you believe that you need to earn love? I used to believe some of those things. I really genuinely used to believe some of those things. And when those beliefs are running in the background of your mind, then staying in this relationship feels like it makes sense. Here's another question for you. What are you afraid would happen if you changed? Yeah, let's go there. What feels scary about not continuing this pattern? Is it being alone, starting over, what people will think, not trusting yourself to make better decisions? Like, what is it? Like, don't skip this question, please, because fear will keep you stuck in something that you can be free from if you do not answer this question. Another one for you. What are you getting from staying? Now, this is an uncomfortable question, but it's necessary because you are still in this relationship. The fact that you're still in this relationship means that you're getting something from it. Maybe it's familiarity. Maybe it's a sense of identity or avoiding loneliness or avoiding uncertainty. I had some of those too that I didn't recognize. So what emotional payoff is it that might be keeping you in a situation that is hurting you? No, I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's your business. That's for you to decide. I'm here to help you to go deeper so that you can get to the truth. Because as Jesus said, only the truth will set you free, even if you stay in a relationship. Knowing the truth is important. Right? You cannot make a clear decision until you open your eyes and look at what is in front of you clearly. And that doesn't come from focusing only on their behavior. It comes from understanding your beliefs, your fears, and your patterns. So I stayed in that relationship for far too long. In fact, the truth is I should never have been in that relationship. It was ungodly from the start and I shouldn't have put myself in it. And I got to the point where I slept clinging to the edge of the bed for far too long. And I kept pretending that everything was fine while ignoring what was right in front of me for far too long. And the biggest part of why I continued on in that relationship for as long as I did was because I didn't want to admit the truth. I didn't want to believe that I had invested years of my life into something that was destroying me. And I was scared because I had allowed this man to brainwash me into believing that I couldn't do better. But the best day of my life, truly, the best day of my life up to that point was the day when I stopped lying to myself and accepted God's invitation to be set free. So wherever you are at right now in this toxic relationship that is dominating your life, you owe yourself honesty, if nothing else. Tell yourself the truth. And whatever comes up, you get to decide what to do with it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode encouraged or inspired you, please share it with someone who came to mind as you listened. You never know how much they might need it. See you next time.